Hi everyone. Today we will discuss about strain gauge alloys and materials of strain gauge manufacturing. In this class, we will see what are the different alloys are used in the manufacturing of strain gauges and what are the different alloys are used in this manufacturing of strain gauges, and also what are the different types of materials is used in the strain gauge manufacturing. Okay. In previous class, we will discuss about the resistance strain gauge. So in that resistance strain gauge, how to measure uh, strain applied on one particular body. In that class, uh, I'm taking one example, that is one pipe across some amount of cross sectional area of pipe I'm taking. So I'm acting different loads, that is tensile strains or compressive strains are acting on that body. So how should we calculate that amount of strain by using this resistance strain gauge? So I'm applying uh, different loads on that cross sectional area of that pipe. We can calculate the area and change in length and change in diameter. Automatically the resistance is also change in that cross sectional pipe. So in that we are taking those values, we can calculate the strain of that cross sectional area of the pipe. Okay, so that is a resistance strain gauge. Today we will see about what are strain gauge alloys in that manufacturing process, what type of alloys we are used in this strain gauge, and what are the materials we are used in the strain gauge. First of all, we can see what is strain gauge alloys and what it is play a major role in the manufacturing of strain gauges. You can see the strain gauge alloys, a list of some metallic alloys commonly employed in commercial strain gauges together with their sensitivities. It is presented in one tabular form. You can see there are different types of material he is taking. So in that materials, the percentage of materials combination, we can manufacture these strain gauges. So variety of materials are available for these strain gauges, and we select a proper gauge for a specific application. We can select a proper gauge in the temperature measurement or pressure measurement or acceleration measurement or torque measurement, any type of measurements. So we can select the particular strain gauge. So for example, I'll calculate the temperature. I am calculating temperature by using this strain gauge. How much amount of temperature is acting on that body? So that is calculating how much amount of load acting on that body or how much amount of torque acting on that body. So that is the input, and I'm calculating the output by using this strain gauge. Suppose I'm calculating temperature of that device. So I can select a particular strain gauge. I can select a particular strain gauge. I can select a particular strain gauge. That strain gauge is obeys the temperature. Temperature effect is obeys the temperature effect. Why? Because the temperature is high in that whatever instrument we are taking. So the temperature of the body is increased. So in that same time, we can select the strain gauge. That strain gauge also uh, temperature should be calculated, and it should be effective in nature and effectively calculated that amount of temperature by using that type of strain gauges. ఓకే, సో మనం ఏదైతే స్ట్రెయిన్ గేజెస్ అనేవి సెలెక్ట్ చేసుకుంటామో ఆ స్ట్రెయిన్ గేజ్ కూడా ఆ టెంపరేచర్ ని తట్టుకునే విధంగా ఉండాలి. సో దట్ అమౌంట్ ఆఫ్ స్ట్రెయిన్ గేజెస్ ఆర్ సెలెక్టెడ్ based upon the different conditions. You can see what are the different materials and what type of materials we are using and what is the percentage of that material I'm taking in that strain gauges manufacturing. You can see different alloys, that is a strain sensitivity for common strain gauge alloys. Okay, first one, the advanced or constant end. The advanced or constant end material. So in that advanced or constant end material, I will take 45% nickel, 45% nickel and 55% copper. 45% nickel and 55% copper. So the gauge factor of this material, it is 20. Electrical resistance is 0.49 and temperature is 20. So it obeys the easily workable and widely used for static strain measurements. So it is mainly used for static strain measurement. And next one, nichrome 5. Okay, so in that nichrome 5, I am taking 80% nickel and 20% chromium. 80% nickel and 20% chromium. And next one, isoelastic. So in this isoelastic material, I'm taking 36% nickel, 18% chromium, 0.5% manganese, manganese and 5% of ferrous. These are the different alloys are mixed to form isoelastic material. And next one, karma material. In that karma material, 74% nickel, 20% chromium, 3% aluminum, 3% ferrous. These are the alloys mixed in the form of karma material. And next one, armor D, 70% ferrous, 20% chromium and 10% aluminum, 10% aluminum. So these are the materials, these are the alloys to be mixed to form armor D material. And next one, alloy 479. In that 479, you can see there is 92% and 80%. That is the one type of Li. So in these alloys are mixed to form these alloys 479. So these are the different composite alloys to be mixed to form different materials. First of all, what are the functions of these alloys and what is the main purpose of these alloys? What type of factors affecting on these alloys? So based upon these alloys, we are using what is the main purpose? It is high gauge factor which should remain constant over a wide strain and temperature ranges. So in the different conditions, the workpiece should get wherever we calculate the strain measurement, suppose in that temperature measurement, so the workpiece temperature is very high. The workpiece temperature is very high. So the strain gauge should follow and should obey that temperature. So in that we can manufacture that type of strain gauges. So the strain gauges are very preferred to that temperatures. సో మనం ఏదైతే మ్యానుఫ్యాక్చరింగ్ చేస్తున్నామో స్ట్రెయిన్ గేజెస్ అనేవి, ఆ స్ట్రెయిన్ గేజెస్ అనేవి ఆ టెంపరేచర్ ని తట్టుకునే విధంగా ఉండాలి. సో ఆ టెంపరేచర్ ఎంతైతే మాక్సిమం టెంపరేచర్ ఎంతైతే బేర్ చేయాలో దానికి అనుగుణంగా ఆ స్ట్రెయిన్ గేజెస్ ని మనం మ్యానుఫ్యాక్చరింగ్ అనేది చేయాలి. ఓకే, That is the first one. And next one, resistance change to be simple, preferably a linear function of mechanical strains. Those are different mechanical strains are applied on that body. Okay, different instruments of that body. That is the compressive strains are tensile strains are constant strains. Different types of strains are applied on that equipment. Okay, so those different strains should be also suitable for these strain gauges. And next one, low temperature sensitivity, minimum thermoelectric tendency at connections, high yield point and endurance limit, good workability, shoulderability, and weldability. So these are the different properties should be maintained to design and manufacture strain gauges by using alloys. Okay, so you can see what is advanced and constant. Most electrical resistance strain gauges produced today are fabricated from the copper nickel alloy known as advanced or constant. So we can use copper and nickel alloy materials. Copper and nickel alloy material. So these type of alloys are known as constant material. Okay, a typical curve showing the percentage change in resistance, that is change in resistance by original resistance, that is delta R by change in resistance delta R by original resistance R, as a function of percentage strain for this alloy is given in figure. You can observe this figure, the percentage of strain, how much amount of percentage of strain getting by using these alloys, and we can calculate the percentage change in resistance, how much amount of resistance is changed, and how much amount of percentage of strain acting on that equipment we can calculate by using this graph. Okay, so you can observe the percentage of strain is increasing because of the strain is also increased. The strain acting at the point, suppose 20 kilonewtons or 20 kilonewtons, and it affects suppose in the 20 kilonewtons strain, it gets 40 or 40 kilonewtons acting, 60, 80 acting. So in this condition, the percentage of strain, the strain acting on the body is increased. Automatically, the resistance is changed. Whenever how much amount of strain acting on that body, it is increased, and automatically the resistance is also increased. We can observe this graph. You can see percentage change in resistance as function of percent strain for advanced alloy. So we are using advanced type of alloys, the strain acting very quickly, and also the resistance is developed in that strain gauge is also quickly. Okay, you can see that constant. This alloy is useful in strain gauge applications for the following regions. This alloy is useful in strain gauge applications for the following reason. Why we use this type of alloys in strain gauges? You can see what are the reasons. The value of strain sensitivity SA is linear over a wide range of strain, and the hysteresis of bonded filaments is extremely small. So the bonded filaments of this type of alloys, the copper and the nickel alloys of this constant, the filament is very small in this alloy. Okay, so the value of strain sensitivity is linear over a wide range of strain. How much amount of strain? High amount of strain is also acting on that body. The resistance is also developed on that strain gauge. Okay, So by using this amount of strain gauges, we can apply high amount of strains and we can get the high amount of resistance by using these type of strain gauges. The value of SA does not change significance as the material goes plastic. So the value it is not changed. So the material goes plastic. It should be the plastic material. Also, the value is not changed in this type of material. The alloy has a high specific resistance. By using this type of alloys, that means copper or nickel alloys um, used in this strain gauge manufacturing, it gives high specific resistance. And the alloy has excellent thermal stability and is not influenced appreciable by temperature changes when mounted on common structural material. So the alloy has a excellent thermal stability. The thermal stability of these alloys are very high. That's why the thermal stability is very high in that materials, that is nickel and copper. That's why we are using copper material. It is used to produce high amount of resistance in that strain gauge. Okay, and it is not influenced appreciably but temperature changes. It is not appreciable and not influenced to the temperature changes in that uh, area of different bodies of that different work pieces. Whenever we measure the strain gauge strain on that by using strain gauges, it is mounted on common structural materials. It is also mounted, this type of strain gauges are also mounted on these structural materials. It should not damage. The small temperature induced changes in resistance of the alloy can be controlled with trace impurities or by heat treatment. The small temperature induced changes, very small amount of temperature changes occurred by using this type of alloys. That's why it is the very good alloy materials used in the strain gauges. So nowadays we are using this type of alloys manufacturing in strain gauges. Okay, and next one, isoelastic Li. Isoelastic Li. So in this isoelastic Li, we are using 36% nickel, 80%, 8% chromium, 0.5% manganese, and these are the that is 36% nickel, 18%, 8% chromium, 0.5% manganese, and 52% ferrous. These are the different materials are used in this isoelastic material. You can see this isoelastic alloy. The isoelastic alloy is also employed in commercial gases because of its high sensitivity and its high fatigue strength. So these type of materials we are using in the strain gauges, the strength of the strain gauge is very high and it is very sensitive. Okay, high sensitivity occurred in these alloys are used in the strain gauges. The increased sensitivity is advantageous in dynamic applications where a strain gauge output must be amplified to a considerable degree before recording. So the increase in sensitivity, we can increase the sensitivity of that um, strain gauges. What is the advantage is dynamic applications. That means there are different strains are acting automatically. The output is generated of that strain gauge. It is to be calculated and it is to be noted very quickly and very easily by using this type of alloys. And the high fatigue strength is useful when the gauge is to operate in a cyclic strain field where the alternate the alternating strains exceed 1500 microns. That means the high fatigue strength, it gives a very high fatigue strength. That means high amount of loads are also acting on that strain gauge. It should be very effective in nature and it should be calculate the high amount of strains. In spite of these two advantages, use of the isoelastic alloy is limited because it is extremely sensitive to temperature changes. Why, because the temperature is changed, it affects the strain gauges. So what he told is, in spite of these two advantages, use of isoelastic li, these two advantages, somewhere we can use this isoelastic alloys, and it is limited because it is extremely sensitive. So this amount of material strain gauges we can use in a limited amount only. Why? Because the temperature changes, the temperature is changed in that strain gauges, it should be damaged. And isoelastic gases can be used in dynamic applications only when the temperature is stable over the time required for the dynamic measurement. So these type of Li materials are used in the strain gauges. That type of strain gauges are used in the only in the application of temperature is stable. So in that condition only we are using this type of strain gauges. And next one, the Karma Li. So in this Karma Li has properties that are similar to advanced Li. Indeed, its fatigue limit is higher than advanced but lower than isoelastic. So the fatigue limit is higher than advanced alloys and lower than the isoelastic alloys. In addition of Karma exhibits excellent stability with time, and it is always used when strain measurements are made over extended periods. Another advantage is that the temperature compensation can be achieved with Karma is better over a wider range of temperature than the compensation which can be achieved with the advanced alloys. So what are the advantages of these alloys are used in the strain gauges? You can see it exhibits the excellent stability. The stability of this strain gauge is very high by using this type of alloys in the strain gauges with time, and is always used when a strain measurements are made over extended periods. The strain measurements are extended in periods. That means the strain acting regularly on that particular body. We can use this type of strain gauges in the calculation of strains. Okay. Another advantage is that temperature compensation which can be achieved with Karma is better over a wider range of temperature than the compensation which can be achieved with the advanced Li. So the temperature compensation is very high in this Karma Lis. So it will use wider range of temperatures in this strain gauges. And next one, finally, Karma can be used to 500-degree Fahrenheit, that means 260 degrees centigrade in static strain measurements, whereas advanced is limited to 400 Fahrenheit and 204 degrees centigrade. So that is the temperature. That is the temperature uh, should be maintained in this type of Karma Li materials of strain gauges. You can see the 500-degree Fahrenheit, that means 260 degrees centigrade also maintained in the this type of alloys. If we use advanced alloys of this Karma material of this Karma alloys, that is only 204 degrees centigrade should be maintained. So the primary disadvantages of Karma is the difficulty in soldering lead wires to the tabs. So the soldering lead wires of the tabs, it is to be jointed, it is some difficult. So that is the one disadvantage is in this Karma Li materials used in these strain gauges. And next one, what are the other alloys are used in this strain gauges? The other alloys, nichrome 5 armor D and platinum tungsten alloys are metallurgical, more stable and oxidation resistance at high temperature. So the other alloys, it is nichrome 5 and armor D and the platinum and manganese, nickel, nichrome silicon semiconductor. These are the different types of materials are used in the strain gauges. It has very high resistance occurred under higher temperature maintained. These alloys are used for special purpose gases which permit measures strain to be made at temperatures in excess of 500 degrees Fahrenheit to the 260 degrees temperature. Okay, so you can see this the other alloys are used in the strain gauges. You can see that graph, isoelastic graph, karma graph, and advanced materials of karma. Okay, and next one, other materials are using, you can observe the graph. So we can maintain the temperature. The temperature is changed in that strain gauges. So what is the thermal conductivity of that strain gauge? You can see in that upper side of this strain gauge, and you can see the lower side of the temperature in degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, so these are the different alloys are used in the strain gauges manufacturing. And next one, what are the types of strain gauges, and what is the gauge construction? We already known about these types of strain gauges, that is uh, bonded wire strain gauges and unbonded wire strain gauges. Bonded wire strain gauges and unbonded wire strain gauges, weldable wire gauges, and foil strain gauges. You can see what is unbonded wire strain gauges and what is the bonded wire strain gauges. You can see that unbonded and bonded type of strain gauges. The unbonded type of wire strain gauges, one of the early wire gauges was the unbonded type. So in earliest, we are using this type of gauges. In this type of instrument, the strain sensitive wire is mounted under tension or mechanical supports. That is, mechanical support means pins, in such a manner that a slight relative motion of the supports will cause a change in strain. This in turn produces a change in electrical resistance. This resistance change is then a measure of the relative displacement of the supports, and in turn may be represent a strain or some other quantity. So the within the unbonded type of gauge, the fact that the strain sensitivity is wires must be carried on some sort of mechanical mount gives rise to certain difficulties in connection with the attachment. So in this unbonded type of strain gauges, uh, the lead wires are to be compulsory mounted with mechanical joints. That mechanical joints, it means we are using some pins of these lead wires. So in that connection, um, we can maintain the high resistivity of that this unbonded type of wire strain gauges. Okay, and next one, bonded wire strain gauges. So the bonded wire strain gauges, the first major improvement in the wire resistance strain gauge came with the realization that many of the difficulties with the unbonded wire gauges. So in that unbonded wire strain gauges has many difficulties. So we can develop a bonded wire strain gauges. So in this bonded wire strain gauges, without loss of resistance, we can maintain high resistance, and we can calculate the high amount of strains by using this type of strain gauges. Okay, and this unbonded wire gauge could be eliminated by bonding a very fine strain sensitive wire directly to the surface on which strain is to be measured. So whenever we calculate the strain gauge, and where we calculate that strain gauge, the unbonded wire is directly contact with that surface, so it should be some effective manner. So and it is also in sensitive type of strain gauge. That's why we are using this bonded wire strain gauges. We are calculating the strains on the strains by using these strain gauges. The filament has to be electrically insulated, and the bonding perfect for the strain sensitive element to follow the strain on the surface to which it is attached. Most bonded wire strain gauges are made from wire of approximately 0.001 in diameter or less, and in resistances varying from about 50 ohms to several thousands of ohms. So most bonded wire strain gauges are made from wire is approximately the diameter of wire is 0.001 in diameter. It is very less diameter, and in resistance varying from the resistance is varying about 50 ohms to several thousands of ohms. That is the main advantage we are using the bonded wire strain gauges. You can see the bonded wire strain gauges. The bonded wire strain gauges of that lead wires are very small amount of diameters. That's why we can calculate the resistance, and we can measure the high strains also. Okay. And next one, metal foil strain gauges. The foil gauge operates in essential same manner as a wire gauge. However, the sensing element consists of very thin metal foil. It is about 0.0002 in thickness instead of wire. So it has also a metal foil has also a small amount of thickness of wire is used in the strain gauges. It contrasts to the wire gauge in which the sensing element possesses a uniform cross section throughout its entire length. The cross section of the sensing element of the foil length, if the cross section of the sensing element of the foil gauge may be somewhat variable from one end to the other end of the strain gauge, and one of the most important advantage of this foil strain gauge is the ratio of contact surface area to the volume of the resistance element is relatively high, whereas in the wire gauge, due to the circular cross section, this ratio is minimum. So the most advantage of this metal foil strain gauge is it is contact surface of area uh, is very high in this metal foil strain gauges. What are the configurations of metal foil strain gauges? You can see what type of strain gauges we should manufacture by using different alloys. 250 Ta, 250 watts, and you can see uh, two element rosette, three element rosette, three element stacked rosette, diaphragm gauge, two element stacked rosette, three element rosette. Okay, shear gauges, stress gauge. These are the different types of strain gauges are used in the calculation of different strains in different applications. Okay. And also multiple element gauges. The multiple strain gauges are used to measure the strain. Okay. So and also adhesive materials are used in the strain gauge adhesives and mounting methods. So we can discuss strain gauge adhesives and mounting methods in next class. So thank you guys.